It's a waiver wire Tuesday on fantasyvictory.com, and we're looking at Charch's 5 guys to add this week, starting with Tre Mason in St. Louis.
Reminder, the full list, which I think is 10 guys available at fantasyvictory.com. We'll talk about the top 5 right now. Tre Mason is the first one. Zach Stacy's been totally phased out of the St. Louis offense, as evidenced by his 0-touch day last week. In his place, Tre Mason got his first start last week and made the best of the opportunity with a solid game running. He hit 85 yards and 1 score, and frankly, Mason just looks faster and more decisive than Stacy, and I don't see this team returning to Zach Stacy anytime soon. Benny Cunningham's always going to stay in the mix as a utility back, special teams guy, but the rest of the work is going to go to Mason. I think you're pretty aggressive in free agency on him. I think you could bid upwards of 25% of your cap.
He's been inactive all season, but Bryce Brown in Buffalo, you like to pick him up.
Yeah, Bryce Brown has been inactive all year because he doesn't play special teams. And, you see this from time to time with running backs who don't play special teams. They're not active on Sunday until they're needed. And, well, when Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller go down, yeah, suddenly you're needed then that's going to happen sometimes. Bryce Brown looked really good in Philadelphia when he had played there for a couple of years. Super dynamic runner. Got himself into trouble with fumbles. We'll have to watch that. He's got good hands, and he can easily take the pass-catching duties that Buffalo normally demands of Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller. Jackson's not going to return until sometime around Thanksgiving, so you got a pretty long run with him as your starting back for Buffalo. C.J. Spiller's probably done as a Buffalo Bill, so that one's probably over. I think with a good month of starts, you can be fairly aggressive in free agency here and bid 20% of your cap.
All right, if you're looking for a quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, kind of surprisingly available.
Yeah, for some reason available in 40% of leagues. And despite the fact that Tannehill's thrown touchdowns in every game, he's thrown multiple touchdowns in 3 straight games. And sure, he's not a high upside guy. He's not a 3 and 4 touchdown guy, but he's super consistent. That makes him an ideal bye week fill-in. Most of the big bye weeks are still to come. As a bonus, Ryan Tannehill's got the Jaguars this week. And while they have played better of late, they've also just lost 2 defensive starters, including Paul Plzlowski? Yeah, let's go with that.
All right, in the post-Toby Gerhart era in Jacksonville, Storm Johnson has 2 touchdowns, but Denard Robinson just really came on the scene last week.
Yeah, fed up with the Jaguars are seemingly fed up with the plodding running styles of Gerhart and Storm Johnson. So last week, they gave Denard Robinson the start last week, and it paid off with 127 rushing yards and a score. It was the most rushing yards for a Jaguars back in 35 games. Now, Robinson, no way is he a workhorse back, and I worry about him running behind a horrible offensive line, but I am confident that Toby Gerhart and Storm Johnson aren't the answer. So maybe Robinson is, and I still think he's going to continue to get a fair amount of work. He'll not likely be much of a goal line threat, but he did score on a run from around the 5-yard line last week. So I'd say you could bid maybe 10% of your cap, Mike.
Maybe you have injuries or a bye week at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Doug Baldwin with the Percy Harvin trade looks like he's the #1 guy in Seattle.
Yeah, the early winner from the Percy Harvin follow looks to be Doug Baldwin. Last Sunday, he blew up with 11 targets, 7 receptions, 123 yards and a touchdown. The team's other wideouts, Jermaine Kearse and Paul Richardson, weren't even able to combine for those numbers. When Percy was on the team, Baldwin was the Seattle's leading receiver then by both yards and reception. So, now with Harvin out, I don't think that's going to change. I think you can be fairly aggressive on Baldwin, 10% of your cap.
All right, that's 5 of Charch's 10 players to target this week, all 10 at fantasyvictory.com, including a little nugget on the New Orleans Saints backfield.